Today we are going to discuss about one of the applications of stacks, that is rearranging elements of an array in reverse order using a stack. For this, we assume that there is an array, input array A stores 5 elements. A is an array of 5 elements, that is A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, 5 elements. The elements are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We wanted to rearrange them in reverse fashion using stack. After rearranging, the array should contain like this: A0, 50, A1, 40, A2, 30, A3, 20, A4, 10. So this we have to perform using a stack. Then what is a stack? Stack is an ordered collection of data items into which elements are inserted from one end and elements are removed from the same end, called top of the stack. Insertion is said to be push insertion, which is nothing but push operation. Deletion, which is said to be pop operation. This operation or this list is said to be LIFO list, last in first out list. Initially, there are 5 elements in the array. All the elements have been pushed. Assume that you push all the elements. A0 is there, push A0, push A0, then push A1, push A1, then push A2, push A3, push A4. That is, you are pushing A0, pushing A1, pushing A2, pushing A3, pushing A4. All the 5 elements have been pushed. So once you push 10, so 10 will be placed in location 0. This is top. Once you push one more element, 20 will be placed here, top will be here. Again push the next element, push 30, 30 will be placed here and this becomes top. Again push next element, 40, 40 is pushed, top will be here. Again push one more element, 50, this will be your top. So each time you push, the elements are inserted in from top position. So in the sequence we have pushed 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 5 elements have been pushed. Now pop elements one by one, pop. If you pop, the topmost element is removed, 50. So place it in A0. So A0 is pop of stack, means 50 will be placed in A0. See here. Then again pop. Again pop. If you pop 40, next element that is there on top is 40. 40 will be popped. That pop is, yes, which is 40. Place it in A1. A1. So next time you pop an element, place in A1. So A1 is 40. Next again you pop 30. Pop stack. That will be 30. That will be placed in A2. A2. Next pop 20. That is placed in A3. Next pop 10. That will be placed in A4. So that the elements of the array have been rearranged in reverse fashion. See the array, it contains 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, which is exactly reverse of the input array 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this is the procedure to rearrange elements in reverse order. Let me explain this even clearly using a sequence of figures in the next slide. Let me explain the procedure of rearranging elements of an array using a stack with the help of sequence of diagrams clearly. Let us assume that there is an array which is having 5 elements: A0, A1, A2, A3, A4. The values are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We wanted to rearrange them in reverse fashion, that is A0 becomes 50, A1 is 40, A2 is 30, A3 is 20, A4 becomes 10. So whatever the elements that are there, that has to be rearranged in reverse fashion using a stack. So stack, we are using a stack which is having again which can store 5 elements. Initially we assume that there is an empty stack. We have defined an empty stack. Top is -1. We execute these statements for I assigned to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, push s comma a of I. That is push a0, push a1, push a2, push a3, etc. up to push a4. So 5 times this push statement will be executed. Every time I varies, I becomes 0, I becomes 1, I becomes 2, I becomes 3, I becomes 4. A0, A1, A2, A3, A4 will be pushed. See, in this fashion, we push all the elements. Push S comma A of 0. A of 0 means 10. 10 is pushed onto the stack. Top is 0. Then push A1, that is 20. 20 is pushed onto the stack. So 20 is placed in the stack. It is pushed onto the stack. Top is 1. Then 30 is pushed. 30 is placed in the stack. Top is 2. Then push 40. 40 is also placed in the stack. Top is 3. Then 50 is pushed onto the stack. So top is 4. So 50 is also pushed. So all the 5 elements have been pushed onto the stack. There are no elements in the array. Now pop elements one by one. If you pop, the most recently placed element is popped. That is, in reverse fashion, you are going to pop. 50 is popped, then 40 is popped, then 30 is popped, then 20 is popped, then 10 is popped. This is the order we want. So these elements we are going to place again using this statement. For I assigned to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, A of I is pop of stack. So every time you pop an element and place in the array, every time you pop an element and place in the array, you pop. For 50 is popped and place in A0. I varies from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So pop. 50 is popped. Place in A0. And again pop. 40 will be popped and that will be placed in A1. Then 30 will be popped, that will be placed in A2. Then 20 will be popped, that will be placed in A3. Then 10 will be popped, that will be placed in A4. So 50 in A0, 40 in A1, 30 in A2, 20 in A3, 10 in A4. So now see the array. Array contains elements in reverse fashion. By the time you got all the elements in reverse fashion, again top becomes -1. That is empty stack. So we will get an empty stack like this. We have popped 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. All the elements have been removed. So that top is again -1 became, the stack became empty stack. Let me explain the program. So there is a program. So we have to define the stack. So stack is nothing but it is a data structure which is the combination of an array and a pointer pointing to top or a position pointing to topmost element. So array and a position pointing to topmost element. Position, it top gives the position of topmost element. Then it is a data structure. The name is structure stack. Instead of using two words, we redefine it as stack type. Then push function and pop function. In a push function where S is your stack and X is the element to be pushed onto the stack. So for pushing, always we increase top and element is placed in top location. Suppose pop S, pop stack. The topmost element will be popped and will be returned. So pop removes one element from the stack and returns the removed element. So here, whenever you perform pop, topmost element is going to be removed. So entry of top is x, then top will be reduced by one. Top is top -1. The element you are removing is going to be returned. So we have defined a stack, we have written push function, we have written pop function. How to utilize this push function and pop function in main function? Let me explain. So main function. A program may contain any number of functions, but execution starts with main function. We have defined an array of 50. There may be any number of elements, right? Not only 5 elements, any number of elements you can have in the array, and all the elements can be rearranged in reverse fashion. So a of 50, then n I x, n may be number of elements in the array, I is used for index, and x is the element. Then stack type, yes, s is a variable of type stack type. What is stack type? It is of struct stack. What is struct stack? It contains two members, entry and top. So entry of max stack. What is entry of max stack? Means array. Max stack means the total number of elements that we can place in the stack. Then okay, first statement is enter size of array. So output enter size of array. So enter size of array will be displayed, that is n may be say 5. I wanted to take an array consisting of 5 elements. Then enter array elements. Enter array elements. So for I assigned to 0, I less than an I plus plus scan of a of I. That is, there is an array a0, a1, a2, a3, a4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is array A. I'm reading A0, A1, A2, A3, A4. That is, assume that I'm reading 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this is my input array. There are 5 elements in the array, and I'm reading 5 elements there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Then s dot top is -1, means I have already defined a stack S. Initially, I assume that it is an empty stack. So there is a stack which can store 5 elements. Is this a stack? Yes. So initially, I'm considering the stack is empty. Of course, there is a possibility of storing 5 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to 4. Initially, top is -1. Then for I assigned to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, where I is n is 5. So I is 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, push s comma a of I. So I varies from 0 to n. So a0 is pushed. Then a1 is pushed. Then a2 is pushed. Then a3 is pushed. Then a4 is pushed. a0 is 10. 10 is pushed. Then it becomes a0, 10 is pushed, so this becomes top. Then if you push a1, a1 is 20, 20 is pushed, and this becomes topmost element, this is top. Then a2 is pushed, 30 is pushed, this becomes top. Then 40 is pushed, this becomes top. Then 50 is pushed, this becomes top. So all 5 elements we have pushed onto the stack using this first statement. For I assigned to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, push s comma a of I. Then we are trying to pop elements from the stack. So topmost element is the first element to be removed. 50 is removed and it is going to be placed in array again. So here see these statements. For I assigned to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. That is I 0, then I will be 1, then I will be 2, then I will be 3, I will be 4. When I is 0, what I am doing? I am popping an element, I am placing in A0. When I is 0, A0 is pop. So pop is first element 50. So 50 is your A0. What you are doing? A0 is 50. That is, there is an array again, A0, A0, A1, A2, A3, A4. A0 is 50. Then next time you execute, this will be executed 5 times. AI is equal to pop of s. So pop of s is executed 5 times. First time 50 is removed, 50 is placed in A0. Next time 40 is removed, 40 is placed in A1. Then 30 is removed, 30 is placed in A2. Then 20 is removed, 20 is placed in A3. Then 10 is removed, 10 is placed in A4. So this is position of 0, position of 1, position of 2, position of 3, position of 4. This is the final array. Final array or output array. If you observe this, it contains 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Initially, it is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now, with this particular program, we have rearranged elements in reverse order. This we performed using a stack. So, stack can be used to rearrange elements of an array. So, this is one application where stack can be utilized.